Robert Maisey is from the Trades Union Congress. I asked him if strikes were the right way to proceed, given that taxpayers and workers would take the brunt of the impact.
I think the union demand here is, extremely modest, right? They're asking for a cost of living pay rise, a pay rise in line with inflation, right, which I think is a completely sensible and legitimate thing for any trade union to be asking, and for the defence of safety-critical jobs. You know, when the rail companies and the government talk about Victorian practices, they're talking about getting rid of the ticket offices. They're talking about getting rid of the safety inspections. They're talking about getting rid of the human beings that staff the stations. So I think the interest of the workers here and the interest of the public are very closely aligned.
The railways were given billions of pounds to stay afloat during the pandemic. We still haven't seen passenger numbers bounce back to normal. Do you think that going on strike is a wise way to proceed, given that those who will feel the brunt of it are the taxpayers and the workers who've already been paying quite a steep price?
So, yeah, you're quite right. The railway companies were given a huge public subsidy during the pandemic, $500 million of which, 500 million of which, went straight into dividend payouts for privatised rail companies. I think before we talk about the workers' wages, we should be talking about why public money has been poured into private profit.
And we are seeing, as I said, fewer passengers using the railways since the pandemics. Of course, they're bringing in fewer revenues. Where do you think the money will be found for what you're asking for?
Well, if the money can be found to subsidise private profit, the money can certainly be found to bring wages in line with the cost of living. I want to remember here that the railways are not a business like any other business. The railways are a completely fundamental public service on which the rest of the entire economy depends, okay? So treating the railways to a cost-benefit analysis based on, there's a reason why money was put in during the pandemic, because we cannot afford for the railway network to fail. And by cutting jobs and by cutting wages and by having managed decline, that is setting this public service up to fail. And that is why RMT members are defending their jobs and their interests, yes, but they're also defending the interest of the public and the interest of the industry.
And we are seeing strikes not just in the UK but across Europe at the moment. Do you think they're connected, or is this just different rows in different countries?
No, I think there is, a connection. I think throughout the last couple of years, we've seen almost unlimited government intervention to protect private companies, to protect private profits. We see that despite the kind of economic crisis, we see profits going up everywhere. And I think it's quite natural that workers all over the world are asking, where is our fair share of this? These are not radical demands being made by unions in Britain or anywhere else. This is a demand for a fair day's pay for a fair day's work. It is just a demand to make sure that workers' share of profits and workers' share of income is being distributed fairly and evenly. So, yeah, I think, workers, not just in Britain, but all over the world, are turning to their trade unions to get what their fair share of the money that is being made.